modern vampire story with mommy issues. We had a perfectly round, beautiful cake, and then we had a lopsided cake. That's just gonna miss me. It was like cinnamon and magic, I guess. I think this is gonna be good. I think I get Halloween now. It's a Polish rock musical with mermaids who are strippers but also eat men. Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to the channel. My name is Amy, and I believe I've fallen for peer pressure. So, where I live, Halloween isn't a prominent holiday. It is not something that is broadly celebrated in my country. Sure, we have Halloween parties, we dress up. It's just not like a whole thing. It's not even autumn, it's spring, it's full on flower season. But nonetheless, I feel the desire to partake. And so, as someone who doesn't really read much horror, I tried to pull all of the books off of my shelves that seemed like it would be appropriate. And I have also made a spooky season bingo card that we are going to try and fill out. I, full disclosure, made this today and started the readathon yesterday. So did I put some things on here that I can already take off? Yes, of course I did. We love a productive queen. So let me talk you through the books that I pulled off of my shelves. I've already read 3 of them. This isn't a fixed TBR in any way, shape, or form, but more a suggestion. Options that I could be persuaded to read during this time. It is currently October 20th, and I believe I am going to run this vlog until Halloween, so October 31st. Let me take you through the options rapid fire style. So we have Women Eating by Claire Coda. This is a modern vampire story with mommy issues. Then we have Murder in the Dark by Margaret Atwood, which is a series of vignettes. Then we have Slaughterhouse by Melissa Sussens. This is a poetry collection written by a woman who is a vet, but who spent, I think, 2 compulsory years working at a slaughterhouse. Then we have Stations by Nick Mulgrew, which promises faith, beauty, and possibility in uneasy corners. In a similar vein, we have The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night, which is another short story collection by Miss Jen Campbell. Additionally, I have The Ghost from the Grand Banks by Arthur C. Clarke. This is a story about the Titanic and trying to reclaim her from the depths of the ocean in the year of our Lord 2010. It promises technological invention and says that there might still be a surprise on board for the team who manages to rediscover her first. We have The White People by Michael Harmel. This is a satirical fantasy. This is a speculative fiction. As far as I understand, this is an alien invasion story that's set in the Cold War, in which the aliens are white people. Then on the cozier side, we have Weird Sisters by Terry Pratchett. This is a Discworld book, and we are following one of my favorites. We're following Granny Weatherwax, and she wants to mingle in politics, but she finds out that it is harder than some playwrights would have you believe. John very kindly let me dip into his stash of books. So we also have Grimoire. This is a short story collection by classic horror writers, I believe. Speaking of classics, we have Dracula by Bram Stoker. I have never read Dracula, and I don't really want to know more than I assume I already do. Lastly, we have A Secret History of Witches by Louisa Morgan, and this is about a world in which witches exist. They have magic, but when one of the elders of the coven dies, then it seems like all of the magic dies with her, and they are trying to revitalize the magic without her. I think. I don't really know. Don't quote me on that. And with that, those are all the books that I have pulled off of my shelves that constitute to me, in my eyes, as a spooky read. In terms of audiobooks, I am listening to Witches Abroad, also by Terry Pratchett. I love the witches, man. They're so good. I'm going to hand you to Amy of yesterday, who has just started the readathon, and then we can discuss the books that I managed to finish. I had such a productive reading day yesterday. It was actually insane. I finished 3 books, and yes, there were 3 short books, but there were 3 books nonetheless. It rained all day. John and I did nothing but read, and it was kind of pure bliss. I started off with Slaughterhouse by Melissa Sussens. This is the poetry collection, and I liked it. It was good. I wouldn't really say that it was mind-blowing for me, at least. My favorite poem in the collection was Directions for Swallowing the Hard Pill of Growing Up. I really enjoyed that one. What I liked about this poetry collection was that it was very plain spoken, and so I feel like it would be an accessible entry point to anyone who wants to get into it. Like I said in the beginning, Melissa Sussens is a vet, and so she discusses a lot of the interrelationships between being someone who brings death and someone who helps and heals, and I thought that discussion was really interesting. Melissa Sussens is also queer, and so there are a couple of queer love poems if that is something that you are looking for or something that you'd be interested in. Next up, I finished Murder in the Dark by Margaret Atwood. I also kind of enjoyed this. It wasn't anything mind-blowing, but I do think that Margaret Atwood has a very entertaining way of writing. I'm entertained. I do think that some of the vignettes in this were a little bit short. She is better at longer fiction, in my opinion. None of these are what I would classify as a short story. None of them are that long, but the longer pieces in here, in my opinion, were better than the shorter pieces. And lastly, I finished Woman Eating by Claire Coda. Lydia is moving away from her mom for the first time, but Lydia is also a vampire, and she isn't entirely sure of her identity just yet, nor is she entirely sure what she wants. She has this internship at this really bougie art gallery, and she is someone who would like to make art herself, but she's struggling so much with her identity that it seems like it's put a cap on her creativity. And so if you're into vampire stories, if you are looking for something that explores mother-daughter relationships, you might be interested in this book. Those are all the books I managed to finish yesterday in my little reading sprint, but for today I think I'll start with Dracula by Bram Stoker. I'm really interested to see where this goes. Hi friends, it is Friday. Happy Friday. I feel like I haven't updated this vlog in forever, and that's because that's kind of the case. I think I last spoke to you on Monday, but worry not, you have missed absolutely nothing because I got so horrendously sick that I haven't been doing much of anything other than watching my bad show. I love Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who, and I have been rewatching it with John because John has only seen a couple of episodes here and there, and last night we finished season 2, and we had less than 3 episodes left, and so we had to stay up late to finish the season. I don't make the rules, I just follow them. So for those of you who know, we watched the Doomsday episode and I was distraught. I was so sad. That episode hurts my heart. And John just had absolutely no reaction, which was kind of wild, but it is what it is. In terms of reading and these spooky festivities, I was doing some editing and I realized I did a very poor job of introducing my bingo card. So we're going to take that again. We're going to try again. I'm going to pop the bingo board on the screen for you right now so that you can read through some of the prompts. It's a really nice blend of activity prompts like nature walks and crocheting, and also some reading prompts. So read a book with a black cover, read a book in one sitting, that kind of vibe. There are 3 prompts that simply just say death, ghost, and vampire, and that is because I want to consume stories with those themes and or characters in them. I am not really particular as to how I complete that prompt. It can be a book, it can be a movie, it can be during my silly little rewatch of Doctor Who. It doesn't really matter. But I have managed to do 5 things on the bingo card so far. So it's looking like this. I have managed to take the free space because that's what you do with the free space. I read a book in one sitting. I read a book that's under 250 pages. I read a vampire story, and I read While It Rained. So that is the progress we have made. I can also give myself a point for spooky ambience because I put on some spooky ambience while I was reading yesterday and while I was journaling this morning. But then I'm also changing the reading plan just a little bit. We're pivoting because the brain isn't braining. So initially I was reading Dracula, and while I have it up next to my face, I really do just need to address the fact that it is the ugliest cover for Dracula that I've possibly ever seen in my entire life, and I feel really sad about it because there are some beautiful editions out there. However, I'm really glad that I didn't spend any big money on a really nice edition because I am finding this book so slow and boring. So for those of you who might not know, we are following this dude who's staying with the Count Dracula in this castle, and he is writing a journal, and the book is epistolary, so we are reading the journal entries. But some of the journal entries are written in shorthand, and so it really feels cut and dry. So I have soft DNF'd this for the time being because momentum was low and we needed a win. So instead, I've picked up The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night by Jen Campbell. This is a reread for me, and so I knew I was going to have a good time here, and that's good. Like we said before, I needed the win, and this one is winning. I love it. It is so well written. I love the way that Jen Campbell uses imagery. I love her use of fairy tales. It is a motif that crops up again and again in her writing, and I think she's just so good. So if you'd like to check her out, she has a YouTube channel, which I will link down below, but also go check out her writing. It's equally good. Anywho, I have 5 stories left. I would like to finish this one today and then get a point for a short story collection, and then I guess we'll see what we read next. Hello there, it is Monday and Halloween is happening on Friday, so we have the rest of the working week to wrap up the festivities. But I think before we get into all of that and what the plan is for the week, we need to check in with the bingo board. I'm going to pop it up on screen for you over here, but I'm going to have my physical copy in front of me. So if I'm referencing something, that's what it is. Okay, so I'm going to get a point for baking. I baked a chocolate cake and it was a little bit of a disaster because I think I rested the brim of the one cake tin on the other cake tin. So we had a perfectly round, beautiful cake, and then we had a lopsided cake. So I don't think it made a big difference because the cake is finished, it's gone, it's been eaten, and it was delicious. So I will leave the recipe down below if you want to try it out. It is a very moist cake and it ages pretty well. I used a dark cocoa powder, which I think makes a difference, but it was the only cocoa powder we had, so it's what I used. Then I finished my audiobook. I was listening to Witches Abroad by Terry Pratchett, and it was so funny. I laughed out loud. I love laughing out loud when I'm reading a book, and when I logged it on Storygraph, it told me it was a light-hearted book, and I couldn't agree more. I think I need more light-hearted reading in my life. I really do. So I am in the market. If you have any recommendations, please leave them down below. I am going to get another point because I started a crochet project. I cannot share what that project is because it is for a friend of the channel, and that would be spoilers. And then I think I'm going to double up my points for Witches Abroad because it's Monday. I need a win and it's not that deep. So I'm going to get a point for Death because if you are familiar with the Discworld, Death is a recurring character and he was present in this one. I'm also going to give myself a point for Cozy Fantasy. I'm not entirely sure if it classifies as a cozy fantasy in the cozy fantasy canon. I have tried reading cozy fantasy before and I've just been kind of underwhelmed. I think Terry Pratchett should count as a cozy fantasy because the stakes are low. Also, I just felt cozy and I think that's what matters. I'm going to give myself a point for Ghost because John and I watched the Doomsday episode of Doctor Who and there are ghosts in that. I read The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night, and so I get a point for short stories, and it was also a reread. So I feel like we're doing pretty good on the bingo board front. I am also in the middle of Dracula by Bram Stoker, but I think I'm going to DNF it because I personally think that it's quite freaking boring. So I think that's just going to miss me. I am not made to suffer. As for the rest of the week, I think we can definitely light some candles at some stage. It would be silly not to get a point for that. I can listen to a thematic playlist. I might make one myself, or I might just find one online. Who knows? I can probably make myself a flavored drink. And then John and I are planning on doing a movie night on Friday. So we're looking good. Now that I've DNF'd Dracula, that means I need to pick something else up. I'm not entirely sure what I am in the mood for. Truth be told, I do know what I'm in the mood for. I'm in the mood for another Terry Pratchett, but I don't know if I'm going to end up doing that because I would like to branch out a little bit. So today is Monday, and if I'm DNFing Dracula and I've finished The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night and Witches Abroad, that means I'm currently not reading anything for this vlog. So we need to go pick a book and then I'll let you know what we end up reading. Hello, it is Wednesday. I was supposed to update this vlog. I was supposed to come back and tell you what I was reading, but the past 2 days of my life have been an absolute dumpster fire. So the fire has been put out, everything has gone back to normal, everything is kind of in place again, and I'm so grateful. And I have actually started reading something new. I haven't picked up a physical book just yet, but I started a new audiobook. It's called Pay the Piper. It is written by George A. Romero and Daniel Kraus. It is so good. When I looked it up on Storygraph, I saw that it's been classified as a fiction/horror, and that's something I noticed almost immediately. Is I really enjoy the way that this is written. I feel like it's written very well. The characters just jump out of the pages and I am immediately invested. I haven't read all that much, but I cannot wait to get my teeth back into that book. So I think this is going to be good. I am not typically someone who reads a lot of horror. I find that there is a lot of, for me at least, and the horror that I have tried, it feels like there's a big disconnect between me and the book. I just struggle, but this characterization is so good and it feels spooky and it's atmospheric and it's just really tongue-in-cheek at times, but also I think it's just going to be a really good read. So we are in this little town. It's called Alligator Point in Louisiana, and there is this story. There is the story of the Pied Piper. Now, if you're unfamiliar with that story, it is a children's tale about the city that's overrun with mice, and one day a piper comes along and he plays his magical flute and the mice follow him out of the city. The piper then returns to the city to ask for payment for dealing with the mouse problem. The town then refuses to pay him, and as retribution he leads the people's children out of the town as well. So we have this folklore fairy tale story element to it, which I am really enjoying. I love stuff like that. And there is this really cool setting because we're set in the swamp, and so everything's like spooky and there are like swamp creatures, and there's also talk of pirates and treasure. So I just think it's got all of the ingredients to be very good soup. So I'm gonna eat that up. Hopefully there will be time to pick up a physical book somewhere along the line as well, but we shall see. Hi, happy Thursday. It is October 30th, which means we have 2 whole days to wrap up this reading vlog, and I would like to read 2 books before my time runs out. So if you saw the B-roll from yesterday, John came home with spooky donuts, which I think is the cutest thing. He has just been so excited about this vlog, and he's honestly just so excited about all the videos I've made, and his support has just been lovely and wonderful, and I think it was such a sweet gesture. So we had pumpkin spice donuts yesterday, and I don't know what they put in that filling. It was like cinnamon and magic, I guess. It was delicious. items. So I think now is a good time to reflect on our bingo board. Since I last saw you, we have listened to a thematic playlist. I was going to make one myself, and then I decided I actually didn't want to do all that work. So I just found one on Apple Music and I listened to that. I also made a flavored drink. The flavored drink was like, it was so good in theory, right? But in practice, it was kind of a flop. It was very underwhelming. But I did do it, and I am going to give myself a point because it was a lot of effort. And then I'm going to give myself a point for autumn colors because I started reading Pay the Piper, and the cover is like greens and oranges, and I feel like that definitely counts. I am yet to spot a black cat, and I'm kind of devastated about it. I have been keeping my eyes peeled. Cats never come to you when you want them to. They tend to like people who don't want to have anything to do with them. And I am not that person. I'm never that person. And I feel like fellow cat people can commiserate because as a cat person, I would love stray cats and random cats to come up to me, but I think I'm too excited. I think I wanted too much. I started reading a book with a black cover, and we're going to have a movie night tomorrow night. So that's where we're at in the bingo board. I also started reading The White People by Michael Hamel yesterday, and I completely misconstrued information about this book. In my introduction, I pitched this book as like an alien invasion, but the alien invasion is just white people. And by that, I meant Caucasians. That's really what I thought this book was about. But no, they're actual like extraterrestrial human beings, and they are like titanium white. They're like stark white. And so that is where the confusion came in. And I don't think I can blame me for thinking that. Like I feel like lots of people would have thought that. Let's talk plot. So we start off with this like alien spacecraft that lands in the middle of this like farmland, and 7 people emerge from the spacecraft, and they're wearing these like space suits, and they manage to erect a house in like breakneck speed. And so it's this really cool situation where like you can see everything that the aliens are doing, but you're not privy to why they're doing it. And so we start off amidst a whole bunch of confusion. And what I really like about this book is that you get different perspectives. So we start out with a child in the village, and the child is just super hype. It's something out of a comic book. He's just so excited to be a part of this moment, and he trusts them implicitly. And so he is the first person to make contact with the aliens. Then in like what I guess would be a part 2, we get the perspective of a journalist who is also there for like their arrival. The writing style itself feels dry, but the contents are so juicy. I would like to make more progress with The White People today. I would also like to get further into Pay the Piper, and I have to set up my November diary and planner. So I think I might listen to my audiobook while I do all of that, which is very exciting. As for Pay the Piper, I'm still really enjoying it. I haven't gotten much further than I think it was yesterday when we checked in. I don't know, time's an illusion. We'll chat once I have made any kind of progress. Hi friends, happy Halloween. So this is the last day of the reading vlog, and I'm actually so sad to be wrapping this up. I have had such a good time filming this vlog. I think I get Halloween now. I think I understand. It is such a vibe. I have been listening to spooky ambience for pretty much the entirety of October, and it's just been really getting me into a mood. I can't really describe what the mood is, but I feel like I don't need to. So in terms of plans for today, as I said, John is here. He is working from home, and we have been thinking about those freaking donuts nonstop. So we might go and get another set because it was delicious. And while we're at it, we're going to pop in at a bookstore. We think they might be having a sale, and so we're going to go check that out. I would love to bring you along with me. As for reading, I am about 50 pages short of finishing The White People by Michael Hamel, and this is so good. I have been enjoying this read so very much, and I think Michael Hamel has a very good idea of politics, because while I'm normally into books that are a character study, this is very much a political hypothetical, because we are met with these extraterrestrial beings who pose a huge threat to the planet Earth and to our humanity. We're talking a lot about the merits of art and music and the humanities, things like social sciences. It has been such a refreshing take. I am someone who is very humanities orientated. I have never been a science and maths girly. I wish I was from time to time, but humanities really is where my heart lies, and I feel like it doesn't get enough credit. And seeing us talk about what it means to be a human and how art and culture is such a vital part of the human experience has been something I've been really enjoying. So I hope that this ends on a good note. I am at this point in time wanting to push it into everyone's hands. So if an alien invasion political conundrum kind of seems like something that you would enjoy, I would highly recommend picking this up. I'm going to pass it on to John next, and he is going to read it. I think he's excited because I've been ranting and raving about this book since I picked it up. Anywho, those are the plans for today. Let's get Halloween. We're going to do a movie night tonight. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be watching, but I will keep you in the loop, and hopefully it's a good time. Halloween has come and Halloween has gone. It is now fully November, and I had such a good time doing this spooky season vlog. In terms of reading, we managed to finish one more book. I finished The White People by Michael Harmel, and I really enjoyed this book. There are a total of 4 reviews across both platforms for this book, and the other reviews I read on this book were not very kind. So people did not like this book. I liked it a lot. It got an average of around 3.4 stars across both platforms. I thought this was so much fun. I thought it was so spicy. It was something that I am not really accustomed to reading. It is not only a dystopian fiction, but it was very much plot orientated, whereas I am usually more of a character orientated kind of gal. But the plot was just plotting. It was also very impressive to me that this was actually written in the 50s, and I think that the conversations that this book is having are still very relevant. It asks what human unity means. This was at the heart of it a hypothetical, and it was a hypothetical that I really enjoyed. As for Halloween proper, John and I decided to do a movie night, and it was kind of a hot mess. It was kind of a disaster. I got a list of movies that I wanted to check out. We started with The Lure, and I may have fumbled the bag on that one because we did not end up finishing that movie. The Lure is kind of like, it's a Polish rock musical with mermaids who are strippers but also eat men. And as much as that sounds like exactly what I want, I feel like it ticks all the boxes. It was a very strange experience. I feel like the plot was very confusing, and I found it personally quite difficult to follow. But if you would like to see it and also decode it for homie over here, I would really appreciate it. We then started watching Humanist Vampire Seeks Consensual Suicidal Person, and I was so stoked for that movie based off of the title alone. I knew nothing more other than the title, and it was in French, and we didn't have subtitles, so that was a bust. Our next movie was also a bust. We started watching together with James Franco and Alison Brie, and some shit happened to a dog within the first 5 minutes, and John and I both completely tapped out. We just decided that we were not down for that viewing experience. At this point, we were having a bit of a crisis because we had been watching movies for something stupid like 2 hours, and we hadn't actually finished a single film. And so what we decided to do is what we actually should have done to start with. We watched all the trailers of the movies that I had on the list. I will insert a screenshot of the list right here if you want to check any of them out. And the rest of the films were really intriguing. We were really, really interested and hyped to watch the other contenders. So hype, in fact, that we had a spinny wheel decide what we would be watching. And the last movie, the only movie we managed to finish on Halloween night, was Crimson Peak. I had never seen Crimson Peak, neither had John. And Tom Hiddleston is just... he's such a baddie. Crimson Peak, for those of you who might be interested and might not know what it's about, is this really luscious gothic film. It is a visual masterpiece. Costumes are incredible. There are certain actors like Tom Hiddleston. I feel like Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone also completely fall into this category. They just have such a trusting presence. I see them on screen and my first thought is just immediately, I would trust you with my life. For me, it did lose a little bit of its magic in the third and last act. But I still really enjoyed the movie overall. I still keep thinking about it. It is a haunted house ghost story. We have a writer and an inventor, and it's about creativity and the ways in which people are vulnerable with their creative pursuits. And I had a really good time. I really enjoyed it. So if that sounds like it's up your alley, please do check it out. And then before I say goodbye to all of the lovely people, I think it is just worth doing a rapid fire wrap up of everything we managed to read this spooky season. We managed to read one poetry collection. I read Slaughterhouse by Melissa Sussens. This was okay. We'd recommend it for people who are into lesbian love poems. Then I read Murder in the Dark by Margaret Atwood. I think it is worth reading if you want to do some kind of writing exercises. That's kind of what it inspired in me, is I saw the way in which Margaret Atwood told these really short, concise stories, and I thought to myself, that would make a really good writing exercise. So take it, leave it, whatever you want. Then I read Women Eating by Claire Coder. This one was also pretty mid. I enjoyed the concept more than I enjoyed the execution, but all in all, I really don't regret reading it. I then reread The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night by Jen Campbell. I loved this one. I think this is the perfect spooky season book for me. It isn't scary, but it is still very atmospheric. In between all of this, I also read Witches Abroad by Terry Pratchett. I did this one via audio, and I would highly recommend that experience if Terry Pratchett is someone you are a fan of. Before picking up my last book, I also decided to DNF Dracula by Bram Stoker. I just thought that this one was boring and not for me personally. Lastly, I read The White People by Michael Harmel, and I thought that this was a really good discussion starter. It has been such a pleasure sharing my reading with you. My name is Amy. I release videos every second week, and I would love it if you joined along. If you have read anything cool and spooky this season that you feel would be compatible with my reading tastes, please do leave me a comment below. I would love to see what you're reading. And until then, I'll see you next time. Bye.